thank you for listening to the Clive Barker Podcast. Get all our episodes by subscribing in your favorite podcast app. In episode 273, the new Facebook, Jose and Ryan go over the Hulu announcement about the Books of Blood movie, Little Spark Films news, and there's a brand new Clive Barker store. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the Arts and Medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support this program, where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Don Bertram is a longtime friend of Clive and celebrates and continues to be inspired by his art. He uses that inspiration to help kids through the Texas Children's Cancer Center, and we couldn't be more thrilled to continue to work with him. There's a news feature video that shows Don working with the kids at Texas Children's Cancer Center and his artwork. Click the side banner at www.clivebarkercast.com to find links to the videos and his Etsy shop, where you can buy his prints, books, and support this wonderful program. Check out his artwork and find out what inspired me to buy The Sentinel in episode 257, Art and Inspiration with Don Bertram. All right, well, thanks for joining us. This is episode 273 of the Clive Barker Podcast. Good morning, Jose.
Good morning, Ryan. So let's get into the news. What's new today?
All right. Well, there's a new Facebook in town because if you look at the Hulu Books of Blood update, it's got a picture of a face that's like a book. It's a kind of a neat, striking image. This release teaser poster thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It says Clive Barker's Books of Blood coming to Hulu in October with brand new movie, and it seems like it's been hitting pretty much every website. Right? It's a body with a stretched out neck looking upwards. And where there should be a face, there are actually pages being turned.
Yeah. The face is like an open book. Some of the websites took this as the very first announcement of the Books of Blood. And there's a Nerdist article saying here's the stories that we think would be great if they were in there, or that we think we're hoping will be in there.
Yeah.
And they listed some of the lesser known Books of Blood's stories and right. In the Hills, the Cities, which that's not lesser known, but it's, never been adapted.
Right. So Rosie Knight for the Nerdist said, Hulu has announced its highly anticipated Books of Blood anthology feature will be hitting the streamer in October. And then they say, as Hulu hasn't announced which 3 stories their Brennan Braga-directed film will cover, we're going to highlight 7 of the lesser-known tales we'd love to see the upcoming film take on. Rosie, you're wrong.
Yeah.
They have said which stories are going to be in the movie. They've said that plenty of times. So if I can get into that a little bit, says that again, not to be confused with the 2009 film Book of Blood, which adapted the bookend stories. What was the name of the first one? It's the Book of Blood.
Book of Blood, and then On Jerusalem Street is the other end of the
postscript.
Postscript.
On Jerusalem Street. Yeah. Which is the story of the guy who acts like he can talk to the dead, and then he hides himself into a room by himself, naked, and he would hide this lead under his tongue, and then he would pull it out and start scrawling things on walls, pretending that the dead were talking to him, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a paranormal investigator, and she kind of falls in love with him in the movie. In the book, not so much, but she's trying to figure out if he's for real, if he's legitimately communicating with the dead. And then it turns out, of course, he's not. And the dead are not very happy that people have been that this guy pretends like he's speaking to them. So they decide to teach him a lesson. And in one of the sessions that he's doing, thumping around the room naked and writing stuff, then the dead actually show up, and the Highway of the Dead shows up, which is one of the best, strongest images in the Books of Blood, right? So the dead have highways, they have all these intersections, and it opens up in front of the guy, and then he sees the dead coming over, and they grab him, and they grab the leads, and they start scrawling with their nails and the leads on his skin. They write a bunch of stories, and that's what's supposed to be each story of the Books of Blood is supposed to be something that was scrawled on this guy's skin.
Yeah. Yeah, which is cool, and it's going to be an anthology movie, which are those can be fun. So I'll be excited to see that, and of course this, this story, this Nerdist story that we're picking on also said Hellraiser was based on the Books of Blood story. Like, oops.
Ooh. Yeah, no. But anyway, this movie that's coming out, directed by Brandon Braga, is going to be an anthology of sorts of 3 stories. I wouldn't really call them 3 stories because they're basically 2. So the 2 bookend stories of the Books of Blood are basically the beginning and the continuation of the story of this paranormal investigator and the guy who pretends to talk to the dead. So after the dead scrawl all over this guy's skin, the postscript on Jerusalem Street story, which I don't think made it to some of the American releases of the Books of Blood, did it?
No, right. Yes, right, because the Books of Blood aren't called the Books of Blood in 4, 5, and 6. So,
right.
So it didn't make sense to put like here's the ending of the Books of Blood at the end of Cabal. So
right.
Just didn't.
In my British copies, that story was there because it was Books of Blood volumes 1 through 6. Each of them has like 3, 4, 5 stories. And then the last story is there's a collector who wants to get this Book of Blood. And he hires a killer to go and kill this guy and skin him and bring back the stories of the dead written in the skin. And so that's basically those 2 stories are going to be the 2 of the stories in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a third story.
Are there 2 stories in between?
I think they kind of mixed everything together because the other part of the Books of Blood that Hulu has is a made-up story that's not in the Books of Blood about a girl who has misophonia, which is a fear of loud noises. And apparently she runs away from home and then she meets up with a couple of other people. And I think that kind of overlaps with the story of the Book of Blood and the murderer who's out to get the guy who's got his skin scrawled up. Yeah. So it might turn out that's information that we've got from several articles over the last few months. Yeah. So if anything is wrong, that's what I read. But
well, and I think what this blog post that we're picking on, what they got wrong is thinking that this was the first time we've heard about this Books of Blood. And it's not. But the news that we are getting out of this, like you said, is the release date, October 7th. That's not very far away. So, get ready to get your trial, your Hulu trials set up so you can watch that. Because I'm excited about it. I wish that they had put some money out for the rights to all of the stories and then just do a TV series,
Sure.
But
it was supposed to be a show, right? This was supposed to be a pilot episode, so I'm not sure how much that's still on the table if it does well.
Yeah, but they've really any language about it being a movie has kind of about it being a TV show has kind of gone away, and they're calling it a Hulu original film.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of afraid that this might be it. But it could be great, I mean, it's got good pedigree as far as like the director and stuff, and the poster art is amazing, really cool looking.
Yeah, I love it. It looks great. I'm looking forward to this, and I'll definitely give it a shot once it hits Hulu.
Yeah,
and I think everyone else should too. And you guys should send some feedback. Because maybe if it's still on the table to turn this into a TV show, it'll only be done if the movie has a lot of views.
Our next thing, we've talked about the Hellbound Laments videos in the past when new ones have come out, but now they've got them all out, and there's a YouTube playlist in the show notes where you can click on it and see all of them. Which there are quite a few that I hadn't seen. I watched some last night, and the lament configuration one was pretty cool. It looked like kind of a scene out of a Hellraiser movie. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Frank figure, huh?
Yeah. And they got the lighting really, really well in that one, so it looks like a scene out of Hellraiser. And the Cenobite is all kind of in shadow, which makes it a little spookier. I like that one.
Yeah, with Nathan Gershon playing the guy opening the box. He's in a few of these. They really did a good job with the kukri knife and the light coming in through the slats.
Yeah.
Good job there, Little Spark Films. I liked a bunch of them, like the Bushido one, the Scribe configuration, Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell, which was redubbed by the actor, so there's no longer my voice in there. But Joe told me that the actor wanted to give it another shot at redubbing his own performance, and of course that's completely understandable because I don't think I did a good job on that. But so there's a bunch of stuff in that playlist. Some of them are actually not Hellbound Laments; they're just other videos. But I like the Torture trailer, but the Midian configuration. Also very cool.
There was a second one. Yeah, there's two of them for the Midian configuration now.
Yeah, I Am Death.
Yeah, there's the number 3 and the one that's I Am Death, number 8.
Yeah, where Decker shows up. Dr. Decker. Yeah. He's grabbing a Nightbreed with a hood, and then he kisses her before he stabs her in the heart. So all these are really, really amazing, amazing videos. Little commercials for Hellbound Laments that are being sold by several people, like Pyramid Gallery and configuration boxes and things like that. So, and the last one on their playlist is actually an Indiegogo campaign video, which kind of bookends the whole thing, called Sockos of Sin.
Yeah, it's a trailer for the Wages of Sin, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Wages of Sin project from Little Spark Films that they have going on at Indiegogo. Fine, I got it right here. It says, The Wages of Sin feature film, a trippy, drug-fueled battle of the wills for survival between a strung-out lawyer and the pizza guy. And it's a really funny video for the campaign. It's like this lawyer is sitting in a sleazy motel watching TV, and then all of a sudden his socks pop out from behind the bed, and they start talking to him. Yeah. And they say, well, we want you to help fund the movie. And then they talk about Little Spark Films, the stuff they've done, the commercials, the movie, the torture, and all that stuff. So it says, greetings, film fans. Thank you for a few minutes of your time. We're Little Spark Films, an indie production team operating out of Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and Wages of Sin is our team's newest project. Micro-budget feature blending of drama, horror, and comedy. It's a story of strung-out lawyer Sinclair Niedenthal, and I think this guy's played by Nathan Gershon, who also did that Lament configuration video you were talking about.
Yeah.
And this lawyer's world is falling apart. Procuring a sleazy motel room in secret, there are only two things he wants: a stress-free night with no hassles and a big bag of dope. Unfortunately, he will only be getting the latter, as things soon take a turn for the weird. When after a physical altercation with Darby, a pizza delivery man, Sinclair determines the only option is to take him captive, escalating the rest of the night into a drug-fueled battle of the wills for survival. Whoa. And then they have several different tiers of rewards. Go check it out. We'll leave a link in the show notes for it.
Yeah.
Little Spark Films trying to make another movie.
And, of course, they're the ones who did The Torturer, right, with Paul T. Taylor from Hellraiser Judgment.
Absolutely.
They helped us make an interview video with Cenobite actors. I think we're the only ones that ever made like a panel that had Paul T. Taylor along with Barbie Wilde, Nicholas Vince, and Simon Banford. So
yeah. Completely deserved. It was great to talk to all of them, and Paul T. Taylor as well.
Yeah.
Which I happened to meet again in Phoenix while I was still living in Arizona. He went to the opening of Spooky Swirls, which was a gluten-free bakery shop. And he was there because they also had a section that's like a horror museum inside the shop, the bakery. Yeah. And now they have the coolest stuff there. They had like Chucky props, and they have the Pinhead masks. They had a Pinhead suit in there in display when Paul T. Taylor was there. It was awesome. It was a really cool place to visit. Cool. I miss Chandler in Arizona where they had Spooky Swirls because they even had like a pastry that looked like Pinhead, silver pins made out of sugar. Yeah, it's kind of been hard. I've been sitting at home most of the week because I work from home now, and sometimes you feel like a mole coming out of the house to check your mailbox, and it's like you come out and you open one eye and you open the other. It's like, yeah. It's a weird summer here in Ohio. It's been like really rainy and stuff. Not the best. Yeah, not the best weather here. It's like 80% humidity, and then it's 60 degrees at night and 85 degrees with like all this humidity. I hate it. But anyway,
we've been alternating between like it'll be like 75 or 80 degrees one day, and then the next day it'll be raining and thunderstorms.
Yeah. You know where the weather changes according to the hour? It's the Abarat archipelago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which leads us into, that was a really forced segue, but I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah.
Clive Barker has a new store.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And we were just recording another episode, right? When you discovered this, we were doing the audio commentary for Alien that we'll be putting up next weekend. But yeah, so and you had brought that up then, and so between then and now, we've had a little time to kind of look at it. It's interesting, right? It's kind of a T-shirt store, and they have other things. You know, there's also things like phone cases and
tote bags
and zipper pouches and
notebooks.
Yeah, and different kinds of shirts, not just T-shirts, but they're also like hoodies and tank tops.
This is a subsection of Threadless.com. So there's a Clive Barker store in Threadless.com. It's not exclusively a Clive Barker store. It's just part of their. Threadless has several other stores for other artists and stuff. Now Clive Barker is an artist on Threadless, and so there's interesting stuff. A lot of this art we've seen before and discussed on Imaginer.
Yeah.
There's a typography one where Clive Barker apparently painted on a piece of paper, where does it say you can't?
Yeah.
And so you have stuff like, I don't want to lie. I want to make sure that this one has a T-shirt. Does it have it? Yes. So there's T-shirts in various colors, and they vary from prices and material. Regular T-shirt starts at $18.
And on a lot of these, you got to click on them to find out what you get with them.
Yeah, what sort of format you can buy it on.
Yeah.
Some of them are mugs, zipper pouches, notebooks. Others are T-shirts, sweatshirts. I don't think there's any mouse pads in here, but there's definitely notebooks and stuff. Tote bags. All stuff that you can show your flair and your Clive Barker fandom. Yeah,
and when it reminds me, there was was this like 2002? Maybe there was a Zazzle store for a short time that had some Clive Barker stuff on it. I got a tie and a mouse pad.
Oh yeah,
I got a tie with the skulls on it, and I got a mouse pad with the Hellraiser painting that's on the 20th anniversary, hardcover edition of the Hellbound Heart.
Was that 2002 or is that 2012?
I thought it was like 2002.
Stuff. Okay. Because I remember also 2012 when Alex was the assistant and he was doing. I think he also had a Zazzle store for Clive Barker, but that was way after we started the podcast. After
2002, because I remember buying these like when I had first moved to Fairbanks. So that was
there you go.
Time.
But, probably licensed at the time, maybe not. There was a lot of stuff in the internet that you had like a T-shirt of the demon putting out his eyes, didn't you?
And that thing I bought in like '90. At a comic book convention, the Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. Which,
that's cool.
Back then, they were just comic book conventions, like comic dealers with their comics in boxes under the tables and stuff.
Yeah, and probably made up T-shirts that they would just try to sell.
Yeah, people selling bootleg videos and stuff.
Yeah, bootleg DVD sets of Clive Barker's A through Z of Horror.
Yeah, well, back then, right. Back then, it was bootlegs of special editions that Laserdisc owners copied onto VHS for people who who didn't have Laserdiscs or couldn't afford to pay $100 for Aliens. Special edition.
So one of the things in this shop that I like is the fact that a lot of the Imaginer covers are being offered as products.
Yeah.
Either in the negative that you see in the Imaginer cover or in black and white.
Yeah.
Like positive. So you can do the covers of Imaginer as T-shirts, for example, which some of them are really excellent designs. Yeah,
and it works well on a T-shirt because it's just an ink sketch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Check it out. Threadless, clivebarker.com. clivebarker.threadless.com.
Yeah.
That's the address. So clivebarker.threadless.com.
Yeah, and we've got a link in the show notes. You can just click through into that too.
Yeah, the only thing missing from this is I really would love to see some of these paintings as posters or prints. Like I've mentioned before in some of the Imaginer episodes, some of these paintings, especially the ones that are gatefold in the book and stuff, I was like, I wish I could just put this on my wall. And unfortunately, some of these like really long paintings, they end up being available as a mug. And I'm like, that's kind of a small, like a painting that's like 3 giant canvases long and you guys stuck it on a mug. But I guess, the T-shirts definitely are where it's at here because the T-shirts are the things that are more visible.
I like this. I like this from the shadows. It's got a pinhead face on it.
I think I was looking at that exact same one. Is that the one that looks like a chessboard pinhead?
It's like his face is coming out of blackness.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the one above that, the strategist, which is interesting. It's like a pinhead, but his face is also a chessboard. So I guess that's where the strategy comes from.
Oh, yeah. They're the strategist.
And there's even a really old piece of art from Clive Barker from a clown Saddam. So it looks like this might have been from the theater poster or something, and it's also available here.
Oh, yeah.
It's available as a T-shirt. So that's probably one of the oldest pieces of art that they put in this selection.
Yeah, John Mischief and His Brothers is a notebook.
Yeah. You got the Isabella, the fish.
Yeah.
That you've seen before in the companion book to the Abarat and in the Imaginer. Two Forests, Hark's Harbor, which is the one with the painting of how the Sea of Isabella used to reach the harbor in Chickentown. I wonder who made the selection for these. If it was Phil and Sarah, if it was like worked with Clive Barker.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm thinking maybe them just because. I mean, that's my guess. Is just because it's because there's Imaginer, so much Imaginer stuff in here.
And they also have some of those abstract paint drip, more recent ones from 2017 and stuff, including Tidal that I remember saying in I think it was Imaginer 8, that I remember saying that really
Tidal. Tidal.
Yeah, it's over there and it's available as, let's see, I think it's available as a cell phone cover.
Oh, okay.
For Galaxy and iPhone. So they got Android and iPhone. And they also have available as mug and notebook.
Oh, wow.
The mug actually looks cute.
Geez, I didn't realize. I thought that these were all going to be just for new phones, but you can get it all the way down to iPhone 6 on the iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, would that even still work, an iPhone 6, because of all the updates and stuff?
Oh, yeah, they're fine.
Huh.
You can go all the way down to like 4, I think. They make them so they still can run the new OSs, but they get a little slow.
I'll bet. Yeah. Okay, so you got all sorts of T-shirts, all sorts of accessories, all sorts of things you can choose to show up your flair, show your Clive Barker flair. Yeah, reblogs this also on our page, thinking about it, because just to show people who aren't on Phil and Sarah's mailing list. Sure, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's put it on the show notes and let's add it to the Facebook page. And I think that's pretty much it for the news today, right? Yeah. Well, and coming next, we're going to be doing F is for Flesh, in Clive Barker's A to Z of horror commentaries. We did the H.R. Giger movie Alien, and we already recorded that, so that'll be next week. We had Ed Martinez join us, Ed from Cenobium and special effects artist. And Nina, Ed. Too, yeah, and his wife, Nina. That was fun. Yeah, and then after that, probably also in that same series, probably Species we'll do. We're still talking about that. G is for Grim Tales. And H is for Harlequinade. So Grim Tales, I think, what was that? There was that old black and white movie that we had talked about doing, right? It was, and we'd also talked about doing the Edward Scissorhands. G has The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm, which was a Germany, USA production from 1962. And then they also talked about Tim Burton movies, like you said, Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. I'm okay with either one, maybe both. Maybe both, yeah. But we should probably start with the wonderful world of Brothers Grimm?
Yeah, we should probably start with that one.
On Age, they talk about The Man Who Laughs, He Who Gets Slapped, Funny Man. It's pretty interesting. It's a low-budget horror movie.
And they talk about Stephen King's It, which would be neat, but it would be really long to do that. It would have to be like in parts.
And they also talk about John Wayne Gacy as Pogo the Clown.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, they talk about a lot of clowns in this one. So we'll see. Yeah, but for the meantime, keep an eye out for next week where you'll be able to watch Alien with us. And we got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And apparently it doesn't matter which version you watch because we ended up accidentally watching both. But it doesn't matter too much because they're almost the same running time. There's only 1 minute difference between the director's cut and the theatrical, and I think the director's cut is even 1 minute shorter.
Yeah, it's not even 1 minute. It's like 45 seconds difference, I think. Yeah. So that doesn't really make much of a thing, except for the sometimes where you were talking about some things, and we were like, we're not seeing that.
Yeah.
So I thought I had the director's cut, but I didn't.
And at the beginning, I was behind you guys, but then after the middle of the movie, then I was ahead. Just because of the way the director's cut was re-edited. It's
still fun. You can watch it from Amazon Prime or Hulu or wherever you can get Alien, or if you have the disc, which is the best choice there. So check it out. Alien.
Yeah, and then, of course, we talked about Kult Divinity Lost. We've got that coming up here as soon as we get the books and get that set up. We'll be doing that RPG experiment, which should be pretty fun. And and then Abarat 3 Absolute Midnight.
It's not really connected to Clive Barker, but the guy who contacted Ryan said it's inspired a lot by Clive Barker's ideas and aesthetics. So,
and if you flip through the book, you can see what he's talking about with the artwork for sure. It's the monsters and stuff look pretty Cenobitic, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Cult, looking forward to that because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. So or an RPG before. Yeah. So, and then, eventually Abarat 3, maybe with Peggy O'Leary in a few weeks. So I need to finish listening to the audiobook because I kind of read halfway.
Yeah, I put it down for a while since we delayed, and focused on what was coming up in the podcast that the other things that we were doing.
So remember that Hulu is bringing out the Books of Blood on October 7th, so less than 2 months to go. And go to clivebarker.threadless.com to get your Clive Barker merchandise.
October is always in Fairbanks. October is always like, here it comes, because that's when the snow comes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it stays. So we get.
When does it start getting dark for longer periods of time?
Well, the summer solstice is June 21st, so that's when we have the But then it's like you lose 7 minutes every single day after that.
And then the sun doesn't come up all the way and just comes a little up and then goes back down.
Yeah, so, I guess October, it's 2 months away from the winter solstice, right, on December 21st. So it's...
Then don't go to Barrow.
Yeah, right.
Where the vampires live.
Exactly.
I was watching a documentary the other day about what's the name of that city? It's like the furthest city closest to the Arctic Circle or whatever. It's everything needs to be airlifted in, including food. It's not Barrow.
Well, Barrow changed its name now. It's called Uktivik.
Oh, okay. So they changed it to the I don't want to say Eskimo Inuit name.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the native Alaska name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But there's this place that is basically most of the population is native, and it's like right at the edge of the ocean, but the ocean is always frozen, and everything's airlifted in. So they spend like $400 on groceries every week instead of month.
Oh wow!
Because everything is so expensive. And I was like, wow, who would want to live there? But the people probably who lived there with their ancestors have lived there for like generations. But or someone who just wants to get away from it all. It's a good place to go instead of Midian.
Well, and that's one thing about the the scary thing, one scary thing about the post office going away is that there's communities that, they need the postal system.
Absolutely.
They use it to survive.
There was a comedian, I forgot the name of it, but he made this skit about, how amazing the postal service is, where he said, I think I remember the skit was like, that's the only service where you can go up to a person, give them 45 cents, give them a piece of paper and say, take this to Alaska, 45 cents here. And they'll do it, and it's like, when you think about that, imagine someone in New York mailing a postcard to Alaska, and they just pay a few cents, and it makes it there. Someone actually takes the time to put it in a plane, put it in several planes, put it in a barge, and take it to someone in Alaska. And
a lot of the propaganda about that has been like, their postal system is losing money, and it's like, no, it's called the Postal Service. It's a service. We pay for it with our taxes.
Well, that's because they forced them to prepay every worker's pension and all. No other service.
They took away overtime too, so that to slow them down.
They've been taking mailboxes from Dayton. They've been taking mailboxes away from everywhere now, which is really, really a big concern because, we're like 80 days away from an election. So that doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy, scary times we're living in.
I know. But, while the Postal Service is still here, you can get Threadless to send you Clive Barker merchandise. And I just felt dirty saying that. Oh, my God. Okay. Anyway, this podcast, having no beginning, will have no end.
You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.